In every community, there are people working quietly, helping men, fathers, and families rebuild from the inside out.
I feel like if you can get men on the right track, fathers on the right track, I think that has like a trickle down effect to the rest of the family.
Meet Abdul-Rahmaan Muhammad, founder of My People Clinical Services, a man who spent over 2 decades changing the narrative around men, healing, and responsibility.
Sometimes they need, to be able to deal with some of their own trauma, deal with some of the past history, deal with some of the neglect that they've experienced. And so our program is a place for them to kind of like talk about that and get built up so that they can go back out there and be better for the overall community.
In this episode, host Edward Andrews sits down with Abdul-Rahmaan for an honest conversation about purpose, growth, and what it truly means to be a man in today's world.
If we get together, men will get together in a group. Yesterday, was Sunday, so we watching football all day. We could do that. We could talk about football. We talk, a nice looking woman comes in. We can talk about women, but we don't talk about trauma. We don't talk about the trauma that we have when the impact of the trauma from our roots. Before you go out trying to have a relationship with a woman or even have friends, you gotta have a relationship with yourself and be clear about who you are and what you want to do.
From re-entry and fatherhood to healing and self-discovery, this is about breaking cycles and redefining manhood.
When time people go through my group, they come out as a better man. They feel they've shared some things that they may not have shared in years. They never even talk about it. They bury a lot of stuff, but now they're able to communicate it. And now because they brought it up, they can kind of like move forward in a different way.
Once again, welcome to another episodes of the Urban Echo. My name is Ed Andrews, and with me today is my man, Abdul-Rahmaan. Could you please just share a story? First of all, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm great. And you was one of those mentors that I had when I first was released. And do you want to share with everybody what are y'all doing and where you at with it today?
Sure. Well, I'm the executive director of My People Clinical Services and My People Community Services. For the past 20 years, we've done a wide range of services here in the greater Hartford community. Currently, we offer our supportive housing programs. So we have 5 supportive housing programs that we support young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 as they make that transition, right? They come to us either from inpatient hospitalization, prison, homelessness, and they can stay in our program for 18 to 24 months. And then our goal is to help them to be able to get their own apartment or go to a program with less, staff presence, so they can be able to kind of be more independent. We have our program, the Manhood Tree, where we focus on our group, our Fatherhood Manologues, men's health, and then we have a podcast that we do every Tuesday at 6 o'clock live on Facebook. We also have our foster care program where we help foster parents go through the process of being approved to become foster parents. We have our launch program where we work with young people to help them to basically launch, right? Help them to determine what they're going to do with their life, figure out the plans, what they're going to do after high school, and move on with that. And we also host juvenile review boards, and not juvenile review boards. What is it called? It's like it's a meeting for the young people in our launch program. And so those are the basic programs we offer at My People at this time. And but as the year kind of progresses, we always thinking of new things that we might be able to offer to the community. Right now, my wife in particular is working on a program called Future Day, where she does assessments for young people to also help them to make a determination what's the best route for them after they finish up high school. So are they going to go to college? Are they going to go and get a trade? Are there some other things that they might want to look into, the military? And so these assessments that she does helps them to kind of like figure that stuff out.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how long have you been established?
Yeah, for the last 20 years. We started My People back in March of 2005. And so this year is our actual 20th anniversary.
Okay. Congratulations on that,
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
So, like, what is the carrot of My People? Like, what is the main thing that y'all concentrate on, and what's your success record like?
Yeah, so I mean, our mission at My People is to enable my people to help your people so our people will succeed. We want to see people go from whatever state they're currently in into a more successful state. And so the services and supports that we offer our goal is to really help them succeed, help them to make the transition, help them to be a better father, help them to be more focused on what they want to do with their lives. And I would say that we're pretty successful with that. I'll be honest with you. We work with a very difficult population. Our young adults that we work with the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. They have a lot of different difficulties. But in the last week, we've had 2 young people, transition to their own place. And so that's a positive. Anytime someone leaves our program and they don't like take a step back when they go into the hospital or they go to jail or something like that and they go get their own apartment, that's a win for us. So that's definitely what we want.
So you pretty much, so you also is in that reentry column.
Yeah, for some of them. I mean, some of the young people do come from jail and they have to work on that transition back into the community. I would say primarily, I would say it's like a third. So like a third coming from jail, a third coming from the hospital, third coming from some type of homelessness.
And that's good because I know that with that population, they have a whole lot of agencies in the Hartford region that deals with that age limit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to me, I don't be seeing really how these programs like really collaborating. I think mostly is be like really competing,
right,
just to get numbers. And I always, to me personally, I just feel that that's a turnoff.
mm-hmm.
Because if people really want to help our community, if they know in unity, that's when our strength come in at.
That's true.
In diversity, that's when they knowledge separate. They could go to this program for this. When they finish that, they could go this to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, or if they do it, they do it amongst themselves. Are you collaborating with anybody?
Oh yeah, we collaborate with a lot of organizations. Right now, I mean, we have a collaboration with Trinity Health, which is right across the street, the hospital. I mean, I feel like you and I are collaborators. We may not have clientele that come to each other, but we talk on a consistent basis. And so like one of the things that actually in our other mission for our nonprofit, collaboration is one of the key things. I was actually on Friday before I left the office, I started writing a list of all of the people that we collaborate with. And so I think that one of the things about, I had just heard a quote from Earl Nightingale, and he was saying that basically the way you become successful is through relationships. A lot of times people think, you can have this great idea and you can just do it all by yourself. But the reality is that the more relationships you have, the more that will propel you to be able to be successful. And so that just made me say like, man, I should really think about the collaborators that we have right now and some of the ones that maybe we used to collaborate in the past, but we, went our different ways over time or something like that. And so I think that, for us to be successful as we go into the future, it's going to require more collaboration, less competition. Because I don't see anybody really winning if we compete, because there's like enough. The pie is big enough for everybody to do what they do, and then the other thing is that there's enough people that need help that we can all be successful. So I think that any opportunity to collaborate is a good opportunity.
Yeah, and I totally agree. It's not like I'm like complaining or what another agency is not doing or is doing.
Mhm.
What I'm trying to do is get some clarification, see from your point of view, do you see like real tough collaborations? Like,
One of the things I was going to say about collaboration, like maybe like 3 weeks ago, they had an event in the Asylum Hill neighborhood sponsored by the hospital. It was called What's in Your Neighborhood. And so they invited out all the like agencies, organizations that serve the community to Sigourney Square Park to have an event. And so I think that that was a really powerful collaboration because it allowed, sometimes organizations that may not ever know about each other. We can be like right down the street from each other, but we may not ever know about each other. And so I thought that was a good event to foster collaboration and to connect with the community so that they know the resources that are available right in their community. So,
I mean, I applaud you, and I always have that for the work that you put in. You know, so you're very consistent and you're authentic. And I guess those are some of the characteristics we need for this population because this population is very sensitive and disconnected.
mm-hmm.
And so, I took my hat off to you. Another thing I was asking, I wanted to know is, you've been around for like 20 years and you got a household name out here.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, what is it like that you see that you believe that if we get more, it could be more impactful?
Get more of what?
Like that's what I said. What you think it need more like?
Or what services do we
impactful?
need more?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm very interested in. So I think that for every entrepreneur or executive director, CEO of their business, they may have a different thing that they're interested in, they're passionate about. For me, I'm very passionate about working with men. I feel like, fathers, men and fathers, I feel like if you can get men on the right track, fathers on the right track, I think that has like a trickle down effect to the rest of the family. And so I think that and then my other thing is even making sure that organizations that work with families, fathers, and that they have the knowledge of the importance of fathers as well. And so I think for me, that's one of my main focuses, and it's been for the last 20 years is like really getting people comfortable with working with fathers, working with men, kind of like putting aside some of their the barriers that sometimes people are just scared of black men. They're scared of Latino men. They have certain feelings about this population that they don't want to actually engage them. And so to me, I think if we had better services and support for fathers and men, it will have a impact on the whole family.
So, have you ever experienced anything in the history of you that you wanted to get back to this population, or what had triggered you to do this type of work? Though?
Oh well,
because I see that you got passion for it.
Yeah, I was a young father myself, so so being a young father, and I felt like to me that was an area that I just feel committed to. I'm a big believer that if we get our men in order, we get our fathers in order, our community is going to be in order. And I think a lot of times, people want to kind of like pass by the men, let the men do whatever they're going to do over here, and they want to focus on mothers and children. And it's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of like for some of the problems we have in our community, we need to have men that are in the front and they're doing what they're supposed to do. And so sometimes they need, to be able to deal with some of their own trauma, deal with some of the past history, deal with some of the neglect that they've experienced. And so our program is a place for them to kind of like talk about that and get built up so that they can go back out there and be better for the overall community.
You are a clinical service though, right?
Yeah, we offer. So over the last few years, we have focused more on our housing. There are a lot of clinical agencies out here right now, a lot of private practices and such. And so we decided to focus more on our programming. It still has a therapeutic touch to it, but we're not necessarily doing individual and family therapy right now. We do a lot of groups, and we focus on the population of the young people and the men.
Okay. And that's working out for you, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And do a lot of them, because you said they're 18 and 24, so a lot of these 18 and 24, they may not. The statistics shows that, unfortunately, they be in a household without their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And so, what do you think they cling on to at this population that they look up to, like as a role model or a consoler or someone who could, they could follow in that path of doing right?
Well, I think right now a lot of our young people are on the internet. They find somebody that they look up to on their phone. I think that in some cases, if they're involved in sports, they may have a coach, somebody that's a certain teacher that really kind of they get along with. They feel like can be a support to them. And so I think it's like a 50-50 thing though, because not everybody plays sports and not everybody is connected to the teachers. And so therefore, I think there's a good amount of young people who are on the internet and they're looking up to, these different influencers and different things like that. And that could have a pro and a con, that could be positive or a negative. And then even the people around their community, that's always been a thing where you walk outside of your door, there's certain people that are out there that maybe those people attract you. And that can be a pro or a con as well. So depending on what they're on, that could have a positive or negative impact on the young people.
I know me growing up, I used to just look out the window and see, guys look like they was enjoying themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but got me off the path that my mother was, instilled in me.
Right.
I just thought that was a kind of like dry, and then that's how. Excuse me, I took it to like the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the kids is following that same path though? Because I think are they getting really like entertained with success,
Mm-hmm.
or we still living in that path of it's corny to do the right thing?
Yeah, I think that there's a certain amount. I think that you got to break it down. There are certain kids out here, like I was just saying before we went on. I just dropped both of my children, my younger children, off at college, and so they have. I mean, they're on the internet and stuff like that, but the environment they grew up in, the plan for them is for them to go to school, get an education, and then be able to be a productive member of our society. I think that, like every day around my office is on Gillette Street in Hartford. So when I come off Gillette and turn on Farmington Avenue, there's a group of men that are sitting out there on the corner. And I always wonder, like growing up, I would see that as well. But it looks weird to me, to be honest with you right now, just because I know what they're doing, but it's like they spend all day sitting outside just in front of some stores and stuff like that. And I think that the store owners must have asked them not to sit in front of them because they moved across the street the other day, which was weird. And so it's like, I wonder if there's something that could be done with them because it's not like they look like so fly, like they're just doing so well at what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they could go get a job that maybe it makes the same amount, whatever they're making off, hanging out on Farmington Avenue. And when you have a job, there's no risk of incarceration, of getting any violence or anything like that. And so I just think that I think that, I don't think things have changed very much. There's still a lot of, the same things you experienced growing up, same thing I might have seen growing up, it's still out there. But I do think that there are some kids that are getting into a whole different wave of stuff where it's like they have more, they know that there's more access, they're using AI, they're figuring things out, and they're giving themselves an opportunity as opposed to taking the negative path of what their environment may be offering.
Yeah, I mean, I think my goal is similar to yours. Just want to see our populations getting out this rut. But I guess many of those who came before us wanted to see the same mission. So it's more likely that it's an ongoing thing, an ongoing effort.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be shorter if everyone just collaborate. I mean, my opinion. So,
well, I think that there's a system at play, and this is like a invisible system. So as much as you like, we can have all the services that you want. Like Hartford, Connecticut has a lot of like nonprofits, a lot of organizations that are out here doing, quote unquote work for our community. And so you might say like, dang, we got all these nonprofits, but we still got a lot of problems. Why we got all these issues still?
It reminds me of, you say how you got a lot of nonprofits?
Yeah.
Hartford got a lot of restaurants also.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But people still waiting online to get fed. You know what I'm saying? All the agencies. And, a lot of people fall through the cracks.
A lot of people fall through the cracks. A lot of people aren't getting connected to the right fit for them. A lot of people have distrust of systems, organizations, and so I think that, sometimes we get up into our offices, we get our suits and all that kind of stuff, and we don't really get to the people. We don't develop the trust with the people. And so I think that that's another piece that we have to look at is that, sometimes, and this is just speaking from like two African-American men sitting here, sometimes we get so caught up trying to be like the big agencies, the agencies that have been here a long time, they're run by white people, and we find ourselves kind of trying to be like them, and we forget what our people really might need. So we do things, so we try to do, we think this is the way that you got to do it to be successful, but maybe we're not, by doing that, we lose the human touch that our community might need.
It's funny how you should say that because, just in case nobody don't know, I am the founder of the Second Chance Reentry Initiative Program.
Mm-hmm.
And that was developed and created through experiences.
Right.
And you know how, a lot of people follow other foundations or organizations' trends.
Mm-hmm.
I had to step out the box and think outside the box and felt and put into living what I experienced.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of what I'm giving up in the script, I call them hidden barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Because they being overlooked with these other agencies. A lot of agencies want you to go ahead and get a job,
mm-hmm.
cool, or get a training.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing with that is sometimes that could trigger guys coming home from prison because if they don't have that special structure or that certain type of care, that they easily fall back into the system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how you said it because that's the only reason why script came into existence.
Mm-hmm.
Because those was hidden barriers, like interpersonal skills.
Right.
Who teaches somebody how to listen to someone? Because when we get out, guys, and get incarcerated, we go home, and your sponsor, that honeymoon, it could be over quickly than you think it is.
Right.
Why? It's because your sponsors is trying to put their perspective on you.
Mm-hmm.
You coming home trying to put your perspective on them, and that's when the mixed match comes in that. And then now, you got everybody got to get loud to get their point across, and then we just take off, And it'll be one of the reasons why, guys go back, the interpersonal skills. What about the self-compassion? Who's teaching these guys, just because you get a job, that could be a Band-Aid effect.
Right.
Because it's not really touching the surface of what a person's really going through.
You're saying that basically there's more to re-entry than coming home, getting an apartment, and getting a job.
I think that's part 2.
Right.
Part 1 is 5 elements for a successful re-entry.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health,
Mm-hmm.
housing, employment,
Mm-hmm.
social skills,
Right.
and to be more impactful, it has to be like a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
someone who done that, came home,
Mm-hmm.
and willing to just try to be there for the brothers and sisters who's coming home and filling those gaps that these books cannot teach you about.
Right.
They call it expert mentoring.
Yeah, yeah.
And so those is the 5
Life
elements.
experiences.
Yeah.
They have the real life experience.
Right.
And they've succeeded, so they can say, "Hey, I have a skill that a book can't teach you.
Exactly.
I actually lived it," and so that's a big deal.
Yeah. And it's just like I keep on telling people, if you got a car and you get a dent in your car
Mm-hmm.
or your truck, are you gonna bring it to an auto body, or you gonna trust it with an auto body, or you gonna trust it with an auto mechanic?
Right.
And so that's where those expert mentoring, the whole thing is. But I don't want nobody to get me wrong. It's not like the expert mentor really got all the answers either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's always an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think my peoples cover many of those elements.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that we cover some of those elements. I think the Manhood Tree group that I do for my curriculum I created. We've done it in.
When you talk about your manhood?
Yeah.
I forgot to ask you. What is your goal for manhood? Like, what do you want to see the outcome be?
My goal, the whole program, the Manhood Tree Program, is about having men communicate. So one of the things that I find that happens with men is that we learn to keep stuff to ourselves. We learn to be stoic, to be quiet. We learn to be tough, right? But if you go through life like that, you miss out on a lot of things. If we get together, men will get together in a group. Yesterday, was Sunday, so we watching football all day. We could do that. We could talk about football. We talk, a nice looking woman comes in. We could talk about women. But we don't talk about trauma. We don't talk about the trauma that we have when the impact of the trauma from our roots. Your roots is before you even got here. These are people who have impact on you that you you never even may have seen them, but they have an impact on you. We don't talk about the trauma that we may have from our neighborhood. The impact you just talked about that a few minutes ago, how you were in your house, you look outside, and you were attracted to something that may or may not have been good for you. And so some people grow up in neighborhoods that have an impact on them throughout their whole life. Even if they move away from that neighborhood, they still have impact. We don't talk about boyhood, our teen years, our young adult years, and what happens to us. Sometimes, in our culture, people are getting whooped, and people are getting, the way we get disciplined, and the things that happen that we don't talk about. So, you're 12 years old, but you're having sex already. And it's like, oh, pat on your back. But in reality, that's not how you're supposed to be. And so then in the Manhood Tree, we want to be able to get you to the point where you can deal with all of those traumas, those ills, those things that you've experienced, express them, talk about them, put them on the table. And then we want to talk about relationships. We want to be clear about, the first relationship you have is really the relationship with yourself. So before you go out trying to have a relationship with a woman or even have friends, you got to have a relationship with yourself and be clear about who you are and what you want to do. We want to talk about fatherhood. We want to talk about manhood. We want to talk about brotherhood. Those 3 hoods right there, fatherhood, manhood, brotherhood. It's what is brotherhood? How can brotherhood lead you down a path where it could be negative, as well as positive. And so, and then of course, we will also talk about men's health, because a lot of men, they can get sick, they got something going on, they don't never tell nobody. They keep it to themselves. They don't have a relationship with the doctor. They don't feel comfortable. So the manhood tree is my goal, the outcome I'm looking for is that you get, by the time people go through my group, they come out as a better man. They feel they've shared some things that they may not have shared in years. They never even talk about it. They bury a lot of stuff, but now they're able to communicate it, and now because they brought it up, they can kind of like move forward in a different way.
And so how can someone sign up for your manhood program? And where is it located at?
Yeah, we have our groups. We have some virtual groups. We have some in person. They can come. They can contact us. They can go to the website, themanhoodtree.com. They can stop by our office, 111 Gillette Street, and get in our next group. Or we'll be doing. We're in the middle of a group right now, but we'll be starting another group in a few weeks. We got our Fatherhood Manologues group coming up as well. And so, yeah,
how long is each cohort?
The group is 10 weeks. And, so the Manhood Tree group is 10 weeks. The Fatherhood Manologues group is 6 to 8 weeks, depending on, because that group is one where they're writing a story about being a father or being fathered. So we want them to be able to get to the point where they can perform that at the end of the group. And then, so 6 to 8 weeks with Fatherhood Manologues, 10 weeks with the Manhood Tree group.
And your wife helped you out with many of things.
My wife, she's the director of operations at My People. She on a day-to-day basis, she makes sure everything stays running the way that it needs to run. But it's My People has always been a family business. I'm pretty sure most of my families work there. Most of my wife's families work there. But also it's been a community place too. I mean, over the last 20 years, we probably had 1,000 people working at My People. Mm-hmm. And so throughout the years, people have come and gone. At one point we had one of the biggest mentoring programs in the state at My People. So I think that, as you transition, right now, that's a very important word for us at My People, transition. We're really looking at, how people respond to the next phase of their life. And so, you work in the reentry space, that's a transition. Coming back into the community from being in when you're incarcerated, there's a routine, right? You do the same thing and set up pretty much the same way every day. Yeah. Then you come out here and any day could change at any moment. And so that, like you said, that could be kind of like off-putting for somebody to say like, whoa, I'm used to having my, breakfast at this time. I'm used to going to my class. I'm used to, maybe I'll go work out. But this the same. Now you got different stuff popping up all the time. And so transition, preparing people for transition and getting them the right tools and the right supports is a big area for us right now, our organization. Yeah.
Once again, his name is Abdul-Rahmaan.
Abdul-Rahmaan Muhammad.
And he's the founder, executive director of My People's Clinical Service. Once again, could you just share with the audience how to contact you and how do they go on get connected with you?
Well, you can always send us an email at info@mypeople-ct.com. You can call us at 860-656-0450. You can stop by our office at 111 Gillette Street here in Hartford. Or you can visit our website, mypeople-ct.com, or our nonprofit website, mypeoplecommunity.org.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
Once again, Urban Echoes, check it out, and have a great day.
Never stop dreaming.
And never stop dreaming.
That's right.